In this video I'm going to show you some common chords that I've given you on a chord sheet, and this will help us play some songs that are quite well known, both modern and old, and give us a good view of how to actually form the chords on the guitar. The chords that we're going to look at today from the sheet that I've given you are G major, E minor, C major and D major. I'll be showing quite a lot more close-up detail shortly on how we actually form the chords to get a good sound. One of the first things that I always notice about playing chords is people seem to have an uncertainty of actually how to use them. That's just the strumming techniques that we use, so I'll also be looking at techniques like that. So now I'll show you in more detail, using a close-up on my left hand, how we can actually get a good sound, nice and clear, when we're playing a chord, for example, such as G. And I'll also look at the fingerings that we're going to use and explain why I'm suggesting we use certain fingers for certain notes, and it's to help us transition from one chord to another. So let's have a look at the first chord that I want to look at, which is G major. On the sheets I've given you, you will see that the way I like to form this chord is to use finger 4 on the third string of the first string, the third fret, I beg your pardon, of the first string, and that's a high G. If I then put my second finger on the second fret of the fifth string, that's a B, and then my third finger on the third fret of the sixth string, and that note is again a low G and a high G. And if we strum all the strings, we get the chord G major, a nice happy sounding chord, a major chord. Hopefully now we should be able to see from my fingers, and this is the most common problem that people have in forming chords, is actually to get the fingers to come more vertically down. What people will try to do is form the chord with quite flat fingers that are lying across the strings like this. I'll demonstrate it with my third finger. The problem there is that that might get a nice sound on the G, but it's muting the next string underneath. So what I showed you in class was to push your wrist through. So that's to rock the arm forward, as you can see there, and I'm pushing my wrist around. This is going to make my fingers come now, instead of flat, they're going to be able to just drop vertically on the strings. And you can see my finger 4 has gone down and it's pointing directly downwards. I'll remove my finger 3 to allow finger 2 to be shown on the fifth string. Then I bring my third finger, you can see I've just pushed my wrist through again. My fingers are vertically down. What I suggest is, if this is new to you and you start to get tension in your hand, just give your hand a little shake. Just let some blood come back into your hand, and then just get used to forming this chord shape. You don't need to play with your right hand at the moment. We're just trying to get used to forming the chord shape. And again, a good technique is just to pull away, shake out, form the chord shape. So let's try and give this a strum and see what sound we're going to get. I'm just going to start nice and slowly with a strum on my right hand. I'll do it up here because I can't put both in just at the moment. And all I'm going to do is just strum downwards with my thumb. Okay, so now we can hear all 6 strings ringing, and I'm deliberately making sure that I hit that highest string, so we can hear all 6 strings. So the basic principles I'm trying to teach in this video is simply just have your wrist push through instead of back and flat fingers. Push it through, get the fingers coming vertically down, like as we play when we're just trying to play ordinary single notes, and then our fingers won't mute the strings that they're adjacent to. So let's take this one step further. We're going to change chord now. We're going to form C major, and we'll see that the reason I've used fingers 2 and 3 on strings 5 and 6 is because these just come down one pair of strings. So we have C major, fret 3 on string 5, they've just come down a set of strings, and finger 2 is on the 4th fret, the 4th string 2nd fret. The 4th finger removes, and our 1st finger goes on the C note chord, which is fret 1 of string 2, string 1, string 2, C. So we can see that from the diagram. Now forming the chord, again pushing my wrist through so my fingers are nice and vertical coming down. Just try and pull my 4th finger out of the way, and then you can see. So there we have C major. Okay, C major. What I'm going to do now is just go back to G major, so those two fingers just work together. Down comes the 4th finger. 2, 3, 4. Let's change. Move. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm only starting on the 5th string here for C major, because that's where the bottom note is, the tonic or the root note, and play 5 strings. G major, I was playing all 6 strings. Let's change another chord from G major. We'll go from G major, and I'm going to remove finger 4. I'm going to remove finger 3 but keep finger 2 down, and put finger 2 now, finger 3, on fret 2 of string 4, and I get E minor. That's an E minor, the sad sound chord, minor. Again, just changing from G major. Release finger 4, bring finger 3 underneath. Okay, so now we've learned how to change from G major to C major. That's just the 2 fingers moving there. Finger 4 changing with finger 1. G major to E minor. The only other chord we need to look at the moment is D major. So this one's a separate shape in its own. We put finger 1 on fret 2 of string 3. We want to go to the edge of frets so we don't get buzzy sounds. If you go too far back, get buzzy sounds. Nice and edge of fret. Finger 2 goes on fret 2 of string 1. That's an F sharp, so we've got A and F sharp. And then finger 3 on fret 3 of string 2, a D. And we start strumming from string 4, D major. Just 4 strings this time. So, having a look at the chord progression that I wanted to mention here, songs like Stand By Me, What a Wonderful World, but there's lots and lots of others. Even modern songs use this chord progression. We're going to go, I'll do 4 strums on each one, but follow this chord sequence. G major, 4 to E minor, to C major, to D major. We could omit the E minor chord if we want and play these chord sequence, just 3 chords. G, C, D. Very, very common. Might not be in this key, but the principle of the tonic chord followed by a certain ratio of chords, which in this case is the 4th and 5th, which in this key is C and D. We'll just call them G, C and D. Twist and shout, something like that. G, C, D, back to C, G, and so forth. With those simple 4 chords, we've got 2 chord progressions there that we can use for lots and lots of songs. So I hope that's been helpful to you. I'll be doing more videos on more chord shapes in the future, and in the lesson I will have talked about strumming patterns. So I'm just going to do a little showing of strumming patterns, but being able to show my right hand as well.